price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I appreciate every single last one of you all for watching. This is going to be the first live stream of 2025. And unfortunately, we're starting this off with some heavy news. All right. We're going to be discussing this evening the lynching of a black man who was handcuffed to a hospital bed by the New York Police Department. The lynching of the brother is named Robert Brooks in his early 40s. Unfortunately, this is something I wish we could start the new year off, 2025. I wish we could start that off on a more positive, upbeat note, especially considering how well we ended 2024. But this is some very important things we have to discuss. Not only this, is this something new? No, it's not new. Are we surprised? Is this something we've never seen before? No, it hasn't been. What is the issue then? The issue, first off, it is an issue, but the issue, the real issue and the core of this is what is being done about it. Absolutely nothing. And to be honest, not only is nothing being done about it, a lot of people really dragging their feet. A lot of people kind of hush about it. You don't really see this much outrage about this situation at all. So we're going to have to discuss it. Now, for the sake of our mental health, I'm not actually going to play the video. I think that anybody and everybody who's heard about the situation has seen the video. If you haven't, you can go look it up someplace else. There are a couple of still images of the scene, and I think that that's all that's necessary to describe this situation. But before we really get into it, what I need from you all is for you all to hit that like button. Very important that you do. Y'all hit that like button, and we're going to play this copyright disclaimer to make sure everything we play thus forth is under the fair use guides. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, so these are the images. Just a couple of the still images. Altogether, there were 13 officers involved, and one was a nurse. One was like a medical something. There's some reports saying that this other person was a nurse. Others are saying that they're other medical staff, but it was 13 police officers and one nurse who all together joined in the brutal lynching of Robert Brooks. Now, they would have gotten away with it because all of them really had their body cams off. None of them had their body cams on, but one of their body cams, they got caught up because the body cam was on standby, which means they had all turned it off, which means that they had all understood what they were going to do. That means this is premeditated. This is what this means. This is evidence that all of this is premeditated. Now, the standby body cam, what I guess they didn't know or think about is that with the body cam being on standby, it's still going to catch a bit of the situation. Especially if you examine the body cam and everything like that. It doesn't have any audio. Not that this situation needs it. It's so many clips about it. You can see it broad. You can see it. They're caught red-handed. Different angles and everything. This man was handcuffed. They stripped him down. It was absolutely brutal. Now, what's interesting about this situation, family, is the way the media is portraying this. The media is being very, very kind of off about this situation. Let me let you see what Kathy Hochul had to say about this situation. Now, of course, is a small print, so I'm going to read this for you, so listen closely. Kathy Hochul said, quote, "Like all New Yorkers, I was outraged and horrified after seeing the footage of this senseless killing of Robert Brooks. I have been clear that this is the responsibility of the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision to provide appropriate care and protection to those in its custody. and I will not tolerate anyone who violates that responsibility. This is why I ordered an immediate, here we go, an immediate and full investigation. Okay? Not prosecution, not arrest, as it goes right now. Nobody involved in this situation has been arrested. Just keep this in mind. So she's saying she ordered an immediate and full investigation, as if several body cam footage of the lynching is not investigation enough. Okay. They're not in prison while they're being investigated. They're out free on leave, which could be paid leave more than likely, but they're on leave, just out here, just living their life while a quote unquote investigation is being done. It's being handled in the situation. After it says the investigation into the death of Robert Brooks and further direct DOCC, which is the saying Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, Commissioner Mastosko, to begin the termination process of the 14 individuals who were involved in his fatal attack. So they've been fired, which there's actually the termination process has begun. They haven't been fired. What's happened is they're on leave. So the process is beginning, but none of them, as of right now, have been arrested. None. Not one person involved has been arrested, but they are under investigation. So don't think that Kathy Hochul's not doing nothing. Don't think she's not doing nothing. Don't think she's sitting on her hands about this, because she's launched a full investigation into the situation. So she's going to look at the camera footage from slow-mo. She's going to look at it from rewind. She's going to look at it from fast motion. She's going to look at it from every angle. She's going to look at it in black and white, and then she's going to look at it in colored and in animation. And that's going to help with the investigation to find out what really happened, because apparently they don't really know. Continues to say, the state of New York has zero tolerance for individuals who break the law. Not really, y'all let Daniel Penny off, but okay, I digress. It says, and I am committed to holding everyone involved fully accountable. Once again, I want to offer my deepest condolences to Mr. Brooks' family and loved ones as they, Lord have mercy, I'm sorry, y'all, as they grieve his tragic death. And I'm grateful to the Attorney General. Oh, we're going to get to the Attorney General in just a second. I'm grateful to the Attorney General and her team, our state police, and everyone working with us to ensure justice is served in this case. All right. This is how they say. This is what she's saying, y'all. Okay. So she's launching, Kathy Hochul is launching a full investigation. What needs to be investigated when you have a whole group of people who literally brutally beat somebody to death on camera? Now, before we get to some of the, because I do have a little bit of the small, is not fully done yet, but we do have some bit of the autopsy report that has been done. We have a little bit of that, which I will show you all. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now play with Attorney General Letitia James had to say about it after the release of the video. Mind you, she waited, because this happened early in December. This was about a week and some change, close to 2 weeks before the video was released, and her or Kathy Hochul saying anything. Just keep this in mind. But let's listen to what she had to say.
Lightly, the release of this video, especially in the middle of the holiday season. But as Attorney General, I release these videos because I have a responsibility and duty to provide the Brooks family, their loved ones, and all New Yorkers with transparency and accountability. My deepest condolences go out to Mr. Brooks's family. As Attorney General, you have my word that we will use every possible tool available to us to investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly.
Okay. What I need you guys to do, I really need you guys to do this. Remember her words. That's all I'm going to say. Remember the words she says, that you have her word. She gave everybody her word that she is going to launch a full investigation. This is her word that she's going to do everything she can to rectify the situation and to seek justice. Remember, she said that. All right. Now let's get to a little bit of what they discovered and some of the details of the autopsy.
Examiner's office on December 11th. It was determined Brooks suffered multiple bruises on his face and arms and legs, a fractured nasal bone, multiple soft tissue bleeding in his neck on both the left and right sides, as well as bleeding in the genitalia area. Now, the medical examiner also reported.
Now, I want you guys to understand that this is just a little bit of the autopsy. There was bruises all over his body, bruises on his face, on his neck, broken nose, bruises in his genitalia area. That means they kicked him in his private parts. They were beating him in his private parts. All right. Just so, and this is just a brief amount of the autopsy. It's not, the full autopsy is not out as of yet. Just so you all know.
Concerns for asphyxia, this due to compression of the neck, as well as Brooks's death due to actions of another. It also makes note the final cause and manner of death are still pending at this time. Now, once again, this information was part of an application for extreme risk protection for one of the corrections officers, David Kingsley, named to be involved in the assault. Meantime, family of Robert Brooks held a vigil last night in Rochester with his surviving son, Robert Brooks Jr., saying the family is hopeful his death was not in vain and will be a, quote, catalyst for change, end quote. For now, reporting in the studio, Isabel Garcia, News 8.
My condolences to the family. Absolutely. My condolences to the family. All right. This is just a tragic situation. I want you to now we're going to see what the family had to say. The family was out. They had a vigil, and this is what the family had to say.
The family of Robert Brooks is speaking out tonight. They joined dozens of protesters outside the Monroe County Jail demanding justice. Brooks died December 10th, just one day after being beaten by several corrections officers at Marcy Correctional Facility.
While the state attorney general's office and the FBI investigate, the family and community want action. News 10 NBC's Tom Kowalski was at the protest.
Tonight, hundreds of protesters gathered here outside the Monroe County Jail, calling for just one thing: justice for Marcy correctional inmate Robert Brooks.
His killing must be a catalyst for change.
That's his song.
Justice must be served.
For the first time publicly, the Brooks family spoke to the crowd about his death. Son Robert Brooks Jr. says the community support has been empowering.
Seeing everyone gather here tonight gives me hope that possible is change, and help us know that we are not alone.
We demand justice for my son, for his father, her son, his brother, and his brother, and a host of other family members that are here.
One of those family members was Brooks' aunt, Barbara Brooks. She says it's heartwarming seeing so many people supporting her family, not just in Rochester, but across New York State.
I see that there's different areas of New York that's been protesting as well as here. So just to get the love and support from your hometown, it means the world to me and my family. And I do appreciate everybody that's coming out to support.
In following tonight's protest, in the wake of her nephew's death, Brooks hopes to see a change come to New York's corrections officers.
We would like to get the bad ones out of the system. You know, that's supposed to be reforming our guys to come back home, not killing them. I pray that they get what they deserve. Firing them isn't enough. I want them to do some jail time. I want them to have to suffer the way that he suffered.
And former inmate Robert Allred, who says he was also at Marcy Correctional, says hearing of Brooks' beating was nothing new.
Did 9.5 years.
I've been a part of. And I'll let that be known for the longest time. Just let it play. I'm just letting it play. He says, oh, this is nothing new. When situations like this occur, I want you guys to understand nothing is new under the sun. This is not a new thing. This is not a thing where, oh my God, I don't understand how we could have gotten to this point. These are rogue cops. These are not rogue cops, because in order for you to say that these are rogue cops, you have to imply, this is implying that cops are not regularly like this, that this is not common behavior within the police department. This is not common behavior within correctional police. Okay, some of this chat room. This is very common behavior. And nobody, especially from the correctional facility, is saying that this is a new thing. Them getting caught on body cam, yeah, that might be new. But I want you to understand something. If this was not, if Robert Brooks did not actually pass away due to his beatings, if he was still alive today, no, there would be no investigation. There would be no body cam footage. We would know nothing about this situation. They would say, well, he was fighting, he was kicking, he was trying to fight back, he was resisting arrest. We were trying to put him in the bed. He was resisting arrest, and we had to, if he was alive, we would know about this. It's only because he passed away so brutally that eventually they all like, okay, well, now we got to get something out here, because the family's asking about it. So only when it comes to the most extreme level, when a person passes away, then the body cam footage comes out. But I want you to understand, this happens all of the time. This is not new. This is why the person's all like, yeah, they're known for doing this. All right. Just keep this in mind. They're known. These officers are not officers with a clean slate whatsoever. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. Let me let him finish.
The system who's actively witnessed it, been a part of it, been a victim of the brutality. And this is something that goes on every day within the system. Not just them officers need to be held accountable, the superintendents, that goes all the way up the ladder.
Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. We're not asking for it. We're not writing a letter and requesting it. We're not stating that it's our constitutional right, and we're not waiting for you to amend the Declaration of Independence or the Proclamation of Emancipation. We want justice, and we want it now.
From Monroe County Jail, Tom Kowalski, News 10.
Now, okay, that's how that happened. That's how the media went. Now, if you notice something, the mainstream media is very quiet about it. Do you guys want to know what Eric Adams had to say about the situation? Nothing. Eric Adams has not spoken out about the situation at all. Why do you think Eric Adams hasn't spoken about the situation? Why do you think Eric Adams is not making a stand against, I mean, this did happen in New York, right? He is the mayor, you know. He was a former police officer, right? He was a former law enforcement. Shouldn't he be Eric Adams? Don't you think Eric Adams should be absolutely disgusted? He should be appalled and disgusted by the behavior of people who wear a badge. Don't they dishonor the badge? Now, they always tell us, do they not always tell us, well, the good cops, nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop, because the bad cops put a stain on the badge and they make it all bad for the good cops out here. But don't trust me. There are always more good cops than there are bad cops. There's just a few bad apples out there, but nobody hates them more than the good cops who swear an oath to protect and serve the community. As a former police officer, you think that Eric Adams would be outraged. That's what I mean. That's what would make sense, wouldn't it? That's what would make sense. But Eric Adams is surprisingly quiet. It's been close to a month since the situation has occurred, and Eric Adams is still quiet. He's not saying nothing about it. Guess who else is not saying anything about it? The current president of the United States of America, Joe Biden's not spoken on it. Okay? Not saying nothing. Not said nothing. What about everybody's favorite sister girl? The first quote unquote black VP. Okay. Now everybody a month ago, 2 months ago, they was all like, we need a black person in office. We need a first black woman, HBCU, ski yee. She understands the justice system. She understands. Where y'all HBCU folks at? Then now, all of y'all was up and down hollering and getting mad and triggered by anybody who said she was not black. When we said she wasn't black, they was like, yeah, she is. She's black. She's black. She's black. Okay, where is she? Okay. They say that Donald Trump supports the police. Okay, well, we already know that, and that's not nothing new. He's bold about it. Does Joe Biden not support the police? Because when it comes to this situation, we ain't seen Biden say nothing. Is he now? Because he knows he's leaving the office. Now, before, when stuff like this would happen, what would Biden do? Would he, talk about anti-black hate crime bill? Would he condemn white supremacy? Would he condemn bigotry and racism? No. What he would do is he would get on FaceTime with the family. He would make sure CNN cameras were there so they can record him being on FaceTime with the family. He would send flowers to the family. He would do stuff like that. There's been a month. Has Biden called the family? Has Biden FaceTimed the family? Has he visited the family? Has he sent flowers to the family? Did Kamala Harris, everybody's favorite black woman who was Indian 2 months ago, did she come out to say anything in support of the family? Now, all New York, they was all like, we need her as VP. Well, did she say anything? Where's y'all HBCU folks at? Nope. Ain't said nothing. The mayor ain't said nothing, which I understand he can't, because he's trying to appeal to the white wing, the right wing. He's trying to appeal to them, so he's not going to speak out against any black man at all. Right now, he's damn near on a streak. Right now, Eric Adams, he supported Daniel Penny. Okay, lynching Jordan Neely. Now he's supporting the NYPD. He's supporting by not saying anything. I want you guys to understand something. Let me be very, very clear. Not saying something when you are in a position of authority is making a very bold statement. He doesn't have to say anything to say something. By him not saying anything, by Kamala not saying anything, by Biden not saying anything, they are making an extremely bold statement. Let's be very clear about that. Let's be very clear. They're making a very bold statement about it. Now let's get into what we have in the mainstream media. So the mainstream media is out here talking about the situation. So we're going to look into this. They're barely saying anything. They really don't like to say anything, but we're going to look into this. Okay, this goes into fatal beating of Robert Brooks by NY prison sparks outrage. So let's look into what they said about the situation. And boy, y'all, brace yourselves for this, y'all. Brace yourselves. It says, as investigators on Tuesday continued to probe the death of Robert Brooks, a New York inmate who was brutally beaten while handcuffed in a prison infirmary, residents held demonstrations and vigils as officials announced procedural changes at the facility where the episode occurred. Brooks, 43, was pronounced dead December 10th. They're saying December 10th. The news is saying December 11th. So it's around that time. Okay. They're very funny with that. But it's saying December 10th, a day after corrections officers at Marcy Correction Facility in central New York pummeled him as his hands were tied behind his back. Officers had not activated their body cams, but video taken while their device was on standby mode showed them punching, kicking, and choking Brooks while stripping him of his clothes. It says Brooks' death and the footage released last week sparked outrage and led to protests outside Governor Kathy Hochul's office in Manhattan and demonstrations in Rochester, where local leaders called for reform of the criminal justice system and prosecution of the officers involved in the attack. Now, we already showed this. This is the family. That's his son, that's his father, and everybody there at the news conference. It continues to say Hochul in recent days has directed a full investigation, ordered the termination of the 14 correctional employees involved in Brooks' death, and on Monday announced the facility will get a new superintendent as she aims for, quote, significant cultural changes. Attorney, now remember what Letitia James says. State Attorney General Letitia James has also opened an investigation. Nobody's been, now she's the state attorney. She could arrest somebody right now. She could charge somebody. They can be in prison while she's investigating, but that's not happening. She said and launched an investigation into the officers' use of force, and the FBI and the Justice Department confirmed they're reviewing the incident. Here's what we know about the incident investigation and the response by authorities. Now, y'all get ready for this. All right. It says Brooks, who was about halfway through his 12-year prison sentence for first-degree assault, was moved on December 9th from Mohawk Correctional Facility in Rome, New York, to Marcy Correctional Facility, about 53 miles northeast of Syracuse. Let me ask y'all a question. Brooks, all of this, he was halfway through serving his 12-year sentence for first-degree assault. How is that necessary? How was that necessary? And now I want you to understand, U.S. Today, that's a liberal publication. This is the liberal media. You think if this was the New York Times or Fox News, they would be doing this. But why he was in jail, is this necessary at all? Whether he was in jail for not paying his taxes or first-degree assault or battery or anything. It could be first-degree homicide. Does it matter? Oh, we just want to make sure that the public knows that the deceased victim was serving a 12-year prison sentence for first-degree assault. Okay. Was that necessary? No, it was not necessary. I want you guys to keep this in mind. Robert Brooks is the victim. Now, let's continue with what they had to say. Now, this is coming from the liberal media, right? Giving you the information, the necessary information about what happened. It says, body cam footage released last week showed Brooks handcuffed behind his back in the prison infirmary as officers punched him, hit him with a shoe, lifted him up by his neck, pushed him against the wall, and stripped him of his clothing before medical personnel entered an examination room to assess him. On December 10th, he was pronounced dead at Wyan Hospital in Lord, all this name, Uica. Sorry, Uica. That's Lord. I cannot. Anyway, it says his autopsy results are still pending. Now, the autopsy results that I did show you guys before, I want you guys to keep this in mind. The autopsy results I did show you before, that's not his full autopsy results. It's not. It's not his full autopsy results. All right. Just keep this in mind. It's not. Now, let's continue. All right. Now, YouTube does not want us giving this message out because we're giving the details of this message. All right. So I need you guys to make sure that you guys hit this like button. All right. I need you guys to make sure that you guys hit that like button and that subscribe button. All right. So because there's still some more stuff that I wanted to discuss with you all. It continues to say, now right here, Brooks was a resident of Greece in Monroe County and was incarcerated at Marcy Correctional Facility after stabbing his then girlfriend multiple times during a physical dispute. He pled guilty to first-degree assault and was sentenced to 12 years in prison, which started in 2017. Y'all, they're saying that Brooks stabbed his then girlfriend several times. Can I ask y'all a question? Does that have anything at all to do with this situation? Notice how now this is the left media. This is not the mainstream media. This is the mainstream, but this is not the right media. This is not Fox News. This is not the New York Post. This is not the media that tends to, or is known for slandering the victim, or is expected to slander the victim. But notice they say stuff like this. Now, they're not talking negatively about the officers. They're not going to say anything about what the officers have done. They're not going to say anything about the record of the officers. We don't know their names. We don't know what they've done. Their background and their thing, that's not in this article. That's all I wanted you to see, because then they're going to get to what the family had to say about it. But that's not in this article. But they just want you to know, as they're discussing the victimization in the lynching of Robert Brooks, they just want you to know that he did stab his girlfriend 6 years ago multiple times, a few times. It's just really important for you to know that as we're discussing his lynching that he is the victim of, while his hands were cuffed behind his back and 14 people beat him to death, it's just very important that you know that he was serving a 12-year sentence. Let's just sully his name a little bit. So then when this gets out there to the public, when that gets out to the public, what the public's going to say, well, I mean, it's wrong, because at what they're doing is, I want you guys to understand the play. What they're doing is, because there's absolutely no justification for that whatsoever. There's absolutely not. So what they're doing is they're trying to slowly be all like, you know what, we got to like slowly leak a little something. Because if we can't justify the officer and what the officer did, let's sully the victim's name. So let's just mention, which has absolutely nothing to do with the case whatsoever, but let's mention why he's in jail. And mind you, they brought it up twice. They said, yeah, he was halfway through serving his 12-year sentence for first-degree assault. And then at the bottom of that very same column, they was all like, oh, yeah, and the 12-year thing, he did plead guilty to stabbing his then girlfriend multiple times. So, I mean, and then when that gets out to the public, then that's going to be like, oh, I mean, it was wrong. It was wrong. Yeah. But it's not like he was a great person. It's not like he didn't do anything wrong. It's not like he was this great guy. That's what they're going to say. So if they can't defend the officers, what they'll do is they'll dirty up the victims so bad, and they'll dehumanize the victims to such a degree. It's like, well, the officers were wrong, but look at who it happened to. It's not that bad, right? Look at who it happened to, though. He kind of had it coming. That's the thing. They only have two plays, and they only play two different plays. Sometimes they do both, but it's only really two, one of the two, if not a mix. One is they defend the officer, and that's if they don't have the body cam footage. They'll be all like, well, there's no body cam footage. We have to launch a full investigation. We don't really know the situation before. What happened before the incident occurred? Well, we don't really know. That's the thing, number one. Number two, because now you've seen with this situation, you've seen with the George Floyd situation, you've seen with other situations. Now they got caught so bad, you can't make any type of justification as to why a law enforcement officer would commit such an act. Okay, there's no justification, there's no rationale, and there's no defending that. So now what they do is they go to the second play. All right, and the second play is to dirty the victim up, is to mention, well, I mean, he did have multiple speeding tickets. I mean, he had multiple speed. He sped. He went like 10 miles over the speed limit in a school zone where kids are involved in the school zone. So I mean, he was endangering children. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know about that situation. I really don't know about that situation. You know, he had a car accident. He was driving without insurance one time, which is against the law. I'm not saying this is what they're gonna say. I'm not saying that it justifies anything at all. Don't get me wrong, but just is it if it. I mean, karma is karma, and we can't do anything about karma, can we? This is the second play. Okay, it's one play to justify the officers, which they will always try to do. If that doesn't, they go to play two. Play two is to solely the victim. What they want to do is they want to do both because they get the best results when they can do both. They get the best results, but it's two plays that they try to mix together. If one play doesn't work, they lean real heavy to the next play. If that play doesn't work, they lean real heavy to the next play. In the situation with Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely, what they try to do is they can't really justify. They leaned to play two with the Daniel Penny situation a lot more, because with that they was all like, well, you know, he had mental problems, he already had a record, and he harmed somebody 10, 15 years ago in the past, but it's still relevant today. He harmed somebody, you know. And they tried to do that. They leaned into the play first. The first play is, oh, well, he's defended other people on the train because Jordan Neely was yelling at himself, and that's dangerous to everybody. So those are the two plays. Now, we know, caught red-handed. The mainstream media is trying to dirty his name up. But I want you guys to remember I told you earlier, remember what the Attorney General Letitia James had to say. She promised, I'm going to play it again so we can have a reminder. She promised she was going to pursue this situation, launch a full investigation. She gave us her word. So let's listen to that again. She gave us her word. Okay, this is what she said.
I take lightly the release of this video, especially in the middle of the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
But as Attorney General, I release these videos because I have a responsibility and duty to provide the Brooks family, their loved ones, and all New Yorkers with transparency and accountability. My deepest condolences go out to Mr. Brooks's family. As Attorney General, you have my word that we will use every possible tool available to us to investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly.
We will use every possible tool to investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly. Well, that didn't age well, because this is what she had to say recently.
Happy New Year. Earlier today, after much consideration, research, and review, my office decided to recuse itself from the investigation of the correction officers involved in the events preceding the death of Mr. Robert Brooks at Marcy Correctional Facility in...
Did y'all hear that? Let me play that back. She decided to recuse herself and her office of the investigation involving Robert Brooks. Now, she promised when the video first got released, she promised, I will lie or give you my word that I will launch a full investigation. I will do all of this. Then the next video, well, you know what? After much thought into the situation, what the hell? Okay, y'all. So, okay. We back. I don't know what. Okay. We back, y'all. I don't know what's that, why that happened. She wants to recuse herself of that situation after promising to launch a full investigation. Come on now.
Hello, and Happy New Year. Earlier today, after much consideration, research, and review, my office decided to recuse itself from the investigation of the correction officers involved in the events preceding the death of Mr. Robert Brooks at Marcy Correctional Facility in Oneida County. This decision is not one that was made lightly, but we believe this is the best course of action to protect the integrity of the investigation and to ensure accountability and justice for Mr. Brooks, his family, friends, loved ones, and for all New Yorkers. My office's Division of State Counsel by law represents state agencies in legal matters, including the Department of Corrections and correction officers. My Office of Special Investigation investigates matters where an officer of the law may have caused the death of a civilian. As part of our Office of Special Investigation cases, we do internal conflicts checks. After
internal conflict checks. Okay, that's what she's saying.
Obtaining video and identifying the officers involved in the incident, we conducted this standard check. 4 of the correction officers under investigation in the Robert Brooks matter are currently defendants in other matters and are being represented by lawyers in the Office of the Attorney General.
Let me pause that for a second. Yes, in the chat room, she said, yeah, may have caused the death. Because at this point in time, everybody's sitting up there playing dumb. And this is what the Democrats do. They just play, they absolutely all play stupid. They play like this is their first day on earth. They play like they don't know how stuff happened. Well, I mean, we really don't know. I mean, there's a video of them beating him to death, but is the video, did he die from being beat to death or did he die from natural causes? We don't know at this point in time. That's what they do. But I want you guys to listen to what she just said. She just said that 4 of the 14, 4 of them are already under investigation prior to the situation with Robert Brooks. We said this before early in the live stream. None of this stuff is new. All of these officers already have a history. They are already notorious. They already have a rap sheet. They're already under investigation. We learn this every single time. We learn this with the situation with George Floyd, with Derek Chauvin. We learned the situation with Sonia Massey, the officer involved with Sonia Massey. Every single time, none of these officers are squeaky clean. They always got some type of crazy background. They always have some type of investigation, or they've been suspended, or they had to transfer to another location. And what happens is that they get let go. They get to move on. They get to transfer. They get slightly suspended with pay for a little bit, and then they come back. It's only up until they get caught beating somebody to death, shooting somebody in the face, choking somebody in broad daylight. Then people look into the situation and are like, you know what? Actually, I think there is something that we need to do about this situation. If these people, now I want you to keep this in mind. All of these people are all in the Democrat group. All of them are in the Democrat group. All right. These are people who they say, well, we need police reform, police reform, police reform. You don't see nothing like this. Okay. Why do you need police oversight if their records are already in the books? Clearly, people know what they've been doing. They don't erase their record when they move to a different department. Their record is in the books. Nobody wants to touch them. No, there is no accountability. Laws don't mean absolutely nothing if nobody's going to do anything about it. 4 of these officers involved, and I can almost point to the 4. I can almost tell just based off of the video which 4 have probably already been involved, because this, when you see stuff like this, it is never, ever their first time. Ever. Never their first time doing this. It's always something that they've been doing and doing and doing. And then when they get caught on body cam footage, then these are the people who are supposed to be the attorney general looking into the situation. And then she looked like, oh yeah, 4 of these officers did this to several other people before. Why are they still on the force and not in jail then? Why are they still on the force and not in jail? Let me tell you something. Let me take this off for a second, because we're going to get back to it. If you are in a store, if you work at Walmart, Target, a grocery store, if you steal from the cash register and you get fired, they will note You got fired. You got your employment terminated because you stole from the cash register. We all know this. You can't go, if you worked at Walmart and you were caught taking money from the register, putting it in your pocket and going home, and they caught you on the camera and they fired you, you cannot go to another Walmart because they're going to put a note in there that you steal from the register. You can't go to another Walmart. You can't go to a Target. You can't go to a grocery store or anything like. You can't go to these places because it's already going to be on your record that you steal from the register. For the most, is going to be there. It's going to be there. They have background checks. That's what that's for. So I want you to keep this in mind. You as an employee, you cannot take money from a Walmart register, put it in your pocket, and go somewhere because they got more thorough background checks than the police department does. With the police department, you get to go to one place, you get to beat somebody up under investigation, then you get to move to another place, beat somebody up under investigation, move to another place, beat somebody up under investigation. You get to do stuff like this several times, and then you have to be so bad where you beat somebody and they pass away being beaten to death. So somebody actually looks like, looking through his background here, he actually has had similar situations like this occur before. Now, why in the world does Walmart have a more thorough background check than police? Tell you, they don't. They do not. What Walmart does is if they know you are a problem, then you are not allowed to work in their facility. That's the difference. The difference is not the fact that these police officers do not know, these sheriff's officers do not know, these facilities do not know. They know, but the thing is that the bar is in hell, and they sit up there and be all like, you did what to who? I don't know. Oh, he black? Okay, come in. That's the difference. The difference is they know, but they like that stuff because that's in their culture. That's in their environment. So you having a record of brutalizing black people, that's not going to deter anybody from hiring you in the law enforcement. That's not going to deter them. When you got governors like Kathy Hochul, who are like, we want to launch in full investigation, attorney generals who are like, I swear to God, I'm going to do something about it. And then next video, well, you know what? After much thought, I slept on it and everything. And then I thought, nah, I'm not going to touch it. Or mayors who just don't say nothing. When you have stuff like this, of course you're going to get away with stuff like this because they don't punish officers. They don't even stop bad officers from entering the force. And then the bad officers who are in the force, they don't get punished until they get caught by the public. Then when the video's out to the public, they are like, we might have to let you go. You might come back if it's not too bad, but we going to have to let you go. That's the difference. Let's finish listening to what she had to say about the situation.
While we are confident in the firewalls set up between the Division of State Counsel and the Office of Special Investigation, even the possibility or mere appearance of a conflict could tie up a potential prosecution in lengthy legal challenges. Or
that's splaining, she's splaining, because she don't want to touch this case. She don't want to touch this case at all. That's all that is. She's not giving any legitimate explanation, not logically, not legally. She's given no legitimate explanation as to why she swore she was going to investigate and prosecute this situation in these officers. And in about a week, less than a week, she's all like, you know what? I decided to recuse myself from the whole thing.
Get a potential prosecution outright dismissed.
How is it going to get, if the officers involved are already under investigation, this is going to make the prosecutions an attorney general. They should be doing the Birdman hand rub right now. Do you understand that? they should be happy, because this makes their case that much easier, because now they have evidence that this is not a one-off, that this is a pattern of behavior. They should be sitting up there gleefully rubbing their hands. This is a dream come true to them. This is an easy case. They're caught red-handed and they already have records. Oh, lock them up and throw away the key. This is a set and done. They have no defense of this. So why is she backing up? She has everything is on the table right here ready for her, and she wants to back up because they already have records is going to make it complicated, is what she's trying to say. It's going to make the situation, her having all of the evidence lined up and just ready for her to go, the second she taps the table, it's over with, makes it complicated. And is going to drag the situation out. So she wants to back up. Okay.
And I will not allow justice to be delayed or denied because of a conflict. Earlier today, we filed papers in Onondaga County Supreme Court under County Law Section 701 to appoint Onondaga County District Attorney William J. Fitzpatrick as a special prosecutor in this matter. When a prosecutor is unable to take a case, County Law Section 701 allows for the appointment of a district attorney in the same judicial department. District Attorney Fitzpatrick has served Onondaga County for over 30 years. His office is well-resourced to handle this complex and large investigation, and I thank him.
His office is well-researched to handle this complex. Notice she keeps using this word, complex. It's complex. It's complex. To handle this complex and large investigation. What is complicated about this situation? Is anything complicated? Is anything confusing? Do we not know who was involved? Do we not know what happened? We got body cam footage. I'm not going to show it, but we have body cam footage from before they even brought him in the building until the whole situation of all of them being involved. And she's saying we need a special prosecutor to research this complicated situation.
For taking on this case. Additionally, my office's Division of State Counsel will not represent the Department of Correction and or its officers in this investigation. Again, this decision was made with the utmost respect for the integrity of this investigation, and we will ensure that there will not be any delays. My Office of Special Investigation will hand over all records to the District Attorney's Office immediately. My office has spoken with representatives of Mr. Brooks's family to explain this decision. And I want to take this opportunity, again, to express my sincerest condolences to them during this unimaginable, difficult time.
Okay, yeah, whatever. No, you don't. No, you don't. This is what we get when it comes to black faces in high places, y'all. Because when Letitia James was appointed Attorney General, everybody's all like, a black woman as an Attorney General, black woman, black woman. Well, where's all this black woman stuff? Where's this black woman support? They said she's a black, well, we would know Letitia James is. I mean, Kamala's not, but they're saying all this support, black faces in higher places. The mayor of New York is black. All of these black faces in high places, and yet a black person was lynched while he was handcuffed behind his bed, beaten, laying on a hospital bed, and none of these black faces in high places want to touch it. Nobody wants to touch this case. Where is the ambulance chasers? Where's the ambulance chasers with this situation? You think they'd be rushing to deal with this situation, right? Where are they? Like, what we gonna do? Well, like, why is nobody wanting to touch this? The mainstream media, you're not really seeing this trending on social media. To be honest, this platform is suppressing this whole news thing or whatever the case is. I've watched other videos about it, and I've seen the algorithm data about this. So this whole subject is really being suppressed on the algorithm, and so, which is why we don't have a bunch of people here, but that's fine because this is important. Sometimes it's better to get important stuff out than to get a big story out with a lot of views, because this is very important that we discuss this, because nobody wants to touch this situation. Now, I looked. Now, normally, had this been going on during the election season, you'd have Joy Reid out here talking about it. You'd have Don Lemon out here talking about it. You'd have D.L. Hughley out here talking about it. You'd have all of the Democratic shields out here talking about it. Luther Campbell. You'd have all of them out here talking about it and being all like, you see, Trump wants to bring full immunity. You see, they would have found a way to blame this on Trump. They would have said, Trump, this is Trump's fault. Now, Trump is not in office, but they're going to find a way to drag Trump into it. But what they did do, somebody said something on Roland Martin's platform. Roland Martin didn't even speak on the situation. He invited one of his flunkies to really discuss the situation. That happened one time, and he hasn't touched the situation since, because it's going to make the Democrats look really bad. Look at this, y'all.
As you probably know, you have a 14th Amendment right to refuse medical care. So let's just go with the idea that, like, let's say this brother was being, intaked, and they said, hey, you got to go to the infirmary. And he said, I don't want treatment. I mean, prisons have certain rules, but constitutionally, they can't even force him to take medical treatment. So I'm interested in seeing what the story is going to be about why they felt force in any way was justified, because he clearly wasn't posing any threat. And that's why I think somebody over there in risk management said, cut them loose as soon as possible, because this is going to be nothing but damage control, because his brother died, right? So there's going to be, people on the chopping block. And I think that's the reason behind it, but not a moral reason. It's not because they care. It's because they're concerned about the backlash that they knew was coming.
Yeah, and thank you for affirming what I think we all kind of know one another, but you have the firsthand experience there on the front line that this happens every day. And Michael, I'm going to ask you in a minute to put this in some historical context, what we're seeing as well, if you don't mind. But I want to ask you just one follow-up question very quickly, Matt. And that's in relation to how much of the explanations, how much of an investigation into the circumstances and what happened, how much do you think we will ultimately find out? And are they trying to head some of that off by letting these guys go quickly? I guess there'd probably be a civil lawsuit, though, huh?
Oh, there will definitely be a civil lawsuit. And the good thing is this is in the Second Circuit, which, is not the Fifth Circuit where I practice, right? It's among the circuits where plaintiffs actually have a chance. But I think this is more a political thing. I think the governor and the powers that be want to get in front of the bad press. But I think there will be a DOJ prosecution on this, because this is so clear. I mean, you got a nurse sitting there kicking him in the stomach and in the groin area, and this man's restrained. I mean, just as per se excessive force. And I think you'll see some heads roll on that. But the problem is this is a pervasive issue. This kind of thing happens every day in prisons. And we need to change the system so that people who don't have it caught on body cam have a chance to vindicate their rights as well.
Thank you, Matt. Mike, can you put this in some context with us, if you don't mind, brother? And even thinking about it, as Matt said, you can see the Department of Justice jumping in very quickly. However, with this new white nationalist government that's coming in, what's your sense of how quickly they may or may not act at the federal level, as you're talking about this in context?
Okay, he said, you see the Department of Justice, they keep trying to give Department of Justice a lot of credit. Kathy Hochul has said nothing but, okay, they need to be fired, which, I mean, nobody is surprised by that. And they're launching a full investigation. The Attorney General is saying, okay, I'm going to investigate. I'm going to look into it. You have my word. Actually, my bad. I'm not going to touch the situation at all. So what you have from the DOJ is absolutely nothing. Biden has said nothing about the situation. Kamala has said nothing about the situation. The Attorney General don't want to touch the situation. Eric Adams has not said nothing about the situation. Kathy Hochul has said that she feels like all New Yorkers and don't want to say and wants to launch a full investigation. So the Department of Justice has not done anything under the Biden administration while they're trying to give the Department of Justice all of this damn credit. But now listen to this. Oh, why you have this new what do you say? Extreme Department of Justice, whatever he just said.
Yeah, you can see the Department of Justice jumping in very quickly. However, with this new white nationalist government that's coming in, what's your sense of how quickly they may or may not act at the federal level, as you're talking about this in context?
Oh, well, the Trump administration is going to do absolutely nothing about this at the federal level. I mean, keep in mind, Donald Trump.
So, this doesn't have to be done at the federal level. This can be done on the local level. But you know what's funny about talking about what can be done on the federal level, the Joe Biden and Harris are still in office as of right now. As of right now, they are still in office. Things can still be done on the federal level. So they're passing this off to Donald Trump. Well, we all know Donald Trump's not going to do anything. He's not going to do any less than what Biden is doing now, because Biden ain't doing nothing. There's literally nothing Donald Trump can do less than what Biden is doing, because Biden ain't doing a damn thing. Neither is his VP. The black Kamala Harris ain't doing nothing, ain't saying nothing. The attorney general ain't doing nothing. She said something, then she took it back and ain't doing nothing. Kathy Hochul made one statement and then backed up. Eric Adams ain't said nothing, and yet they're talking about Donald Trump. They're going to try to spin this off the Democrats, because right now this is all the Democrats. Kathy Hochul, Democrat. Eric Adams, Democrat. Letitia, Democrat. Kamala, Democrat. Biden, Democrat. All of them are Democrats in a Democratic city, in a Democratic state. All of them. So they can't say, well, the Republicans, you already know how the Republicans can be. They can't say none of that. So now what they're trying to do is they're going to be all like, well, they're doing a great job, but man, when Trump gets in there, oh, he's going to mess it up. Okay. He's going to mess it up.
For the 2024 campaign, Donald Trump said basically he was going to unleash the police, and he was going to give police officers 100% immunity against criminal prosecution for doing their jobs. All right. So and then if we go back and look at what happened during the first Trump administration,
unlike Biden, because we all know Biden he's tough on crime. He's tough on cops. I'm sorry. Yeah, because we've seen multiple cops get arrested by the pursuit of the DOJ under the Biden administration. Oh, my bad. We have not seen that. That was a lie. My bad.
We know that his two attorney generals, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III and William Barr, they basically stopped doing investigations into patterns and practices of police departments. There were about 23 under the 8 years of Obama. There was only one under Donald Trump. And when Jeff Sessions.
How many was under Biden? How many was under Biden? They talk about Obama. Y'all skipping a couple presidents there. Notice that. Just pay attention to that. How many was under Biden? Because notice he had to go all the way back to Obama, who was president for 8 years. Okay. Donald Trump's only been president for 4 so far. He skips completely over Biden. Okay. Just keep that in mind.
His first attorney general became attorney general. Jeff Sessions tried to back out of the consent decree that the Baltimore Police Department and the Chicago Police Department entered into under the Obama administration. So the first Trump administration had basically a hands-off approach to policing. This one will do the same thing. And remember, Donald Trump in
as if the Biden administration doesn't have a handoff thing with police. Okay.
2024, he said there needs to be one really bad, I think he said bad hour or bad day where the police just go crazy and go crazy on all the criminals. Okay. Now, I don't think he's going to talk about the criminals that surround Donald Trump. I don't think he's going to talk about those criminals. Okay. I don't think he's talking about the grifters. Right. But this is what you see. So Donald Trump encourages this. This is the same guy. And when he was president before, he said, if you have somebody and you put them in the police car, don't say, watch your head, things like that. So he doesn't care. And lastly, remember, this is the guy that brought back the federal death penalty. The last 6 months he was in office and had 13 people executed, including 5 African-Americans, when there had only been 3 people executed at the federal level over the previous 60 years. So these are things that Donald Trump likes.
Donald Trump. You're hearing Donald Trump. What about Biden? Notice they didn't say nothing about Biden. Notice they're not saying nothing about Biden or Kamala. And it would be one thing if Biden or Kamala at the very least, made a statement about this situation. It would be one thing. That would be one thing. But they have not even made a statement about this situation at all. They have not said anything about this situation. They're being quiet, which is actually being very loud. Is actually making a very bold statement. Is being extremely loud about this situation. They ain't said nothing. And the whole time is, Donald Trump really don't like people. Donald Trump really liked the police and Donald Trump's DOJ. And remember what Donald Trump did back in the day. And Donald Trump, when Biden is in office now. There's only a couple seconds left.
Well, I tell you what, actually, it was a week ago today, wasn't it, brothers, that the white nationalist governor of Missouri, Mike Parson, was able to help his friend Eric DeVanalcari get out of prison after his rampages. He had been in prison, so this is on the week anniversary. We get this video. So yeah, I think you may be right.
Okay. I want you to understand this is why people don't listen to them. This is why people don't take them serious. This is why. Because in situations like this, we understand people are not dumb. There are less and less people who are gullible, less and less people who are naive, less and less people who just going to believe the first thing that they hear, regardless of it not making any sense. There are less and less people, fewer people are listening to what they have to say with any type of seriousness at all. Fewer people. So when they hear that you're trying to put this off on another administration, you are showing complete and total open bias. I want you to keep this in mind. Had this happened under the election, what they would have done is they would have broadcasted this. Now, they only mentioned this one single time. That it would have been nonstop. Robert Brooks, rest in peace to Robert Brooks, justice for Robert Brooks, lives matter. They would have done a lot. All right. And they would have said, you know what, Donald Trump, he supports full immunity. But now that this is under the Biden administration and Biden don't got to say nothing, why is Biden not saying anything about it? Because Biden about to leave office. Biden's about to leave office. He will never be able to run again. I mean, he's able to if he, if alive in the next 4 years. I don't know. But Biden he ain't never going to see that White House again. Kamala knows she ain't gonna see that White House again. She might be telling herself a lie, but she knows she's not gonna see that White House again. So according to them, they don't need to say nothing because we ain't gonna see the White House. Who gonna hold it? I mean, so what at this point? Now, if they were still running, they would have made a statement. Oh my God, the family, let's take a picture. I bought you some flowers. Let's eat some fried chicken at the table. They would have done that. But now they don't have to because now the race is over. So now they can be like, hey, man, just another nigga. We really don't care no more. All of this, they care and she cares about people and she wants the best for people. I just want to know where she at right now. Because if you really care about somebody and you really care about black people because you claim to be a member of the black community, if you really cared, you care when you're running for president and then you care when you are not running. You care when you're in office and you care when you're not in office. If you only care when you're running a campaign, if you only care, even though you're still in office, if you only care when you're in office, do you really care? If you only care if it's politically feasible for you, if it is a political gain to say you care or to mention you care, do you really care? No. No, you don't. You've seen the left media, they're trying to sully his name. The autopsy, everybody's dragging their feet. Kathy Hochul has been the only one to say anything really. And all she said is, I want a full investigation. That's all she says. She did not insist on the arrest of anybody involved. Keep this in mind. She insisted on their termination as the investigation is being done. That's it. This is the governor of New York City who insisted on not the arrest, not the prosecution, the termination, just them being fired. No arrests have been done. Letitia James, the first black woman attorney general of New York, oh my goodness, she said she swore up and down, she had passion and she had heart and she wanted to pursue this case. Then a week later, she's all like, you know what? I decided to not, because it's so complicated to leave the situation alone, but I thoughts and prayers, man, for real. I mean, I will send y'all all of the paperwork and all of the files and all of the things that I have to help. If I give y'all my number, y'all can text me and everything like that. And, we could chop it up there. But as far as this situation, I'm done. Why do you think she's doing that? She's doing this because they're trying to find an out for the cops, at least most of them. Now, the 4 cops that have previous cases or whatever the case is, they're going to, of course, all of them can't get let go. Let me give you all of them can't get let go. It's too brutal. It's on video. It's all over the internet right now. They can't just let all of them walk. All right. They can't do that. Especially the ones who you see in the video punching and kicking and taking his pants off, all that. You can't let all of them go. So there will have to be sacrificial lambs. There will have to be. But their whole goal now is to mitigate the damage as much as they can, to do damage control to the best of their ability. So their goal now is to try to let as many of them off as possible. That's their goal. So James, Attorney General Letitia James, doesn't want to touch it because when they let the officers go, they might get 4 and then they let the 10 go on like lighter charges. Of course, all of them are probably going to have some type of charge. Don't get me wrong, but they might let them go on lighter charges of lying on a police report or something like that, slap on the wrist charge, and then they get transferred or they get suspended for a little bit. But are all of them going to get some heavy duty crime charges? I don't know. Not the way they moving. No, they not. They're trying to let as many of them go as possible. And then what Letitia James doesn't want the blowback to be of, hey, you're the AG. Why didn't you pursue this? She would have been like, well, due to the complicated nature of this issue, I recused myself from the investigation and we had a special prosecutor, and this is what the special prosecutor wanted to do. So you can't blame me for nothing because it was a special prosecutor involved in the situation, so she can keep her hands clean because she already knows the play and she don't want to be the one with blood on her hands. She don't want to be the one with dirty hands when they let them go. And then she says, okay, I let them go because I really didn't want to prosecute them like that. Because this is going to be real bad on me. She wants to blame it on this new prosecutor who don't nobody know. And they're not going to be, the special prosecutor is not going to be held accountable. So all of them, whether that's the left media, the right media, Kathy Hochul, Letitia James, Biden, Kamala, Eric Adams, all of them are in cahoots. All of them are like, hey, listen, everybody's going to be as quiet as possible about this situation, okay? It's the holiday season. They're glad it happened at the end of the year. They're very glad, which is why you didn't hear anything about it till around Christmas time, because this happened in the beginning of December. All of this stuff happened in the beginning of December. But they waited till about Christmas, New Year's, where everybody's kind of going to be busy trying to plan things, celebrate. They waited till about that time. They waited till about that time. And then next thing you know, they dropped the story then. So it can get covered in all of the festivities and stuff like that. It can get covered in that. And then now we're about 2 weeks into the situation. About 2 weeks. The news has died down because the holidays are now over. The news has died down. Now we can, hopefully other stories can get involved. Then we got the inauguration coming up. Now everybody's going to be talking about that. You also got some terrorist activity, which is going to be a whole nother broadcast, whole nother live stream, because that's a lot going on over there. So now we got other bigger stories. I want you to understand. Now, as of today, we had multiple terrorist attacks. We had an attack in New Orleans. We had an attack. There was a Tesla truck that blew up in front of a Trump building. So you got multiple different stories going in, and they are glad about that situation. They are so glad. Their hands are over their heart right now, and they're leaning back in their chair. They're like, thank God something blew up. Thank God I can talk about something else. So now Biden is talking about the new terrorist attack and everything like that. So now the news cycle is going on, which is why I made this live stream right now, because next is going to be a dead story that nobody's going to be talking about. And so that's why I had to make this right now. Everybody got their hand over their heart, taking a sigh of relief, because now they get to talk about something else. It was everybody be quiet. We'll drop this story very strategically around the holidays where people are probably not going to be paying attention to the news like that. People are going to be trying to celebrate. And then next thing you know, entering into the new year, something else is going to happen. We talk about this and we be very quiet about this situation, which is why you haven't seen Biden say nothing. You haven't seen Kamala say anything. The family's out here speaking about it. Where's Ben Crump? You think Ben Crump would be all over this situation. Where's Ben Crump? You didn't even see Roland on his show talking about it. He had one of his lackeys talk about this. And then they had to find some way to bring up Donald Trump. Attorney General Letitia James, she talked about it in the beginning. Oh yeah, when the video first came out, I will launch a full investigation. You have my word. Well, you show her how useless her word was. Yeah, her word don't really mean that much. Do it. Don't really mean anything at all. Really do it. You have my full investigation promise and all that stuff. And then now, no, actually, you don't. My bad. This is a complicated situation because they have backgrounds already. Now, let me ask you a question. I really need you guys to think about this for a second. When black people, think about it, because it's complicated, right? So think about this. When black people have records and we commit a crime and we get caught on camera committing this crime, think about this. Do our previous records, do us being previously investigated or currently under investigation, does that make it more complicated for the police to indict us? Does us having as black people, does us having a record make it more complicated for us to get arrested for a crime that we've been caught red-handed? Does it make it more complicated? Does the situation get all complex with the paperwork? And will it take a longer period of time for a black person to be arrested after being caught red-handed because they have previous history doing the same thing? Or does that make it easier? Now with us, it makes it that much easier. Oh, you got a record? Oh boy, you got a record. Oh, this is beautiful. This is great. You go in jail right now. We don't got to do nothing. We barely got to do any paperwork. You already got that for us. You already got that for us. Just copy and paste, put the current date. We good. You can go to jail now. That's what they would say. But now when it's officers, now the situation is complicated because they got previous records, because they're under investigation currently. It makes it complicated. So now nobody want to touch it. Now nobody want to do anything. Now everybody want to recuse themselves from the investigation because it's complicated now. How's it not complicated when we do it? But it's complicated when they do it. And they're the ones who took an oath. Okay. But this is what happens when we live under a system of white supremacy, and we all understand this. We know this. As of right now, none of them have been charged, but this is why we got to keep this story alive. This is why I made sure I did this before the story was completely, before the YouTube suppressed this story complete and totally. I had to make sure I said something about this, all right? I also want to keep this in mind in this situation, this tragic situation. Brother handcuffed. Now the media is trying to say, well, he did stab his girlfriend, as if that had anything to do with a situation. Why he was arrested 6 years ago had anything to do with him being beaten and lynched while his hands were cuffed behind his back. And his clothes was stripped off as he was being beaten. Yeah, like that had anything to do with it. But we have to keep this in mind. So now, anytime anybody says, well, Donald Trump, total immunity. I want to let this be on the record. These are the last things. This is the last thing that Joe Biden is doing for the black community. Silence. It's one of the last things that Kamala Harris is doing for the black community. Silence. Not saying a damn thing. not saying a word. Absolute silence. Being completely quiet about it. See no evil. They see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil, nothing. Not saying nothing about the situation. Not giving their not even giving their condolences to the family. They don't even have the decency to do that. Okay, just keep this in mind. Because when another police situation happens, I don't want nobody to say, well, y'all voted for Donald Trump. Y'all let Donald Trump in there. Okay. Well, what's the difference? I want to ask you guys a question. I want y'all to think about this. It might be quote unquote complicated. But what is the difference between Donald Trump saying he wants the police to get let go and he wants the police to have full immunity, which actually, if you look at the details of the situation, Donald Trump, even if he was the president, couldn't protect these officers because they could get charged with state crimes. He couldn't protect these officers even if he wanted to. But Donald Trump does send his support to officers, especially when they involve in the brutality and lynching of a black person. But what is the difference between Donald Trump vocalizing he supports those officers and he wants them to get let go, between that and Biden not saying nothing, but also letting them go, also letting them get away? What is the difference, y'all? Tell me what the difference is between the Democrat and the Republican in that situation. That's what I need to know. I want this to be on the record. This is the last Biden is not going to even be in office for another 20 days. In 20 days, he's out of the White House forever. Kamala is out of the White House forever. And in their last month, their last 20 days, they don't want to do nothing. They don't even want to give their condolences to the family. This lets you know the character. So now all of the people who is all like, we should have voted for Kamala. Well, what did Kamala say about this? Anytime somebody brings up police brutality, we bring up this last thing. Be all like, if Kamala, if she wanted to, she could have at least said something. And now I don't want to hear the excuse, well, she's only the VP and there's nothing the VP can do. Absolutely nothing. They're powerless and they're useless and they don't do anything but sit down. Okay, they can say something. She could have said something. Where are the Democratic shills? They're quiet too. Just keep this in mind. They're quiet too. Now they're going to get big and bold and loud and boisterous when Donald Trump's in office. Oh, they're going to be screaming and hooping and hollering when Donald Trump is in office. They're going to be screaming and hooping and hollering when he's in office, but they're not saying nothing now because now they want Biden and Kamala to end their thing smoothly, on a smooth thing. They don't really want to criticize them like that. They want it to be nice and smooth so all of the criticisms can be on the Republicans. But you're not hearing them say nothing. This is why in situations like this, I want you guys to understand, this is why we are advocating so strongly and heavily for an anti-black hate crime bill. This is why, because you don't see stuff like this happening to any other group of people. This is why we need that. Because this is not just some rogue people or some MAGA supporters. These are officers who've been in law enforcement for years, doing this stuff for years, already have a reputation of doing stuff like this. And they only do stuff like this to black folk. And had it not been for the fact that they had been caught on their camera, all 14 of them would have gotten away with it. All of them would have. And we've seen this before. And the other brother from the correctional facility says that, hey, this happens all the time. This stuff only happens to us. Do you think if these officers were black and this Robert Brooks was of any other race, you think that they would just be terminated and none of them would be fired? When it comes to black officers, you don't need all of this investigation. Oh, they can get charged immediately. They can have handcuffs put on them immediately. They can have mugshots immediately. The mugshot comes out before you know their name when they're black officers. they get the mug shots. When they're white officers, well, the investigation is kind of complicated and there's just a lot of moving pieces in this thing. So I'm going to pass it to someone who's going to pass it to somebody who's going to pass it to somebody who recommended a new special attorney general who, in the next couple of months, when they're done with their case right now, they're going to touch it. That's what we hear. That's what we hear. This is why we need an anti-black hate crime bill. Because you can't tell me that this was not racial. You cannot tell me that this was not deliberate. You cannot tell me that this is not a hate crime. Have you heard the words hate crime being involved in this situation? No. I'll answer that for you. You haven't. You have not heard the words hate crime be involved in this situation. Now, had this person been Asian, had this person been a who, you already know, hate crimes in Senegal would be crazy. The Asian community would be crazy. Oh, stop Asian hate. They would have been saying that. They're screaming that up and down. But you ain't heard this. Even the NAACP ain't really said too much about this. Attorney Crump ain't said nothing about this. Ain't nobody really saying nothing about this. Okay. Video also shows, I'm not going to show it, but video had also showed that they had been beating him before they even brought him in. They had been assaulting him. He was carried in. He literally had to be carried in. He couldn't even walk. They were beating him before he was even in the room while he was handcuffed. This is why we need an anti-black hate crime bill. Let me ask y'all a question. For the ones who keep arguing, for the Democratic shills who steady arguing, we already have that. We already have that. Okay, all right. We already have that. Let me ask y'all a question then. Where is the Emmett Till Lynching Act? Where is that? Where is the Emmett Till Lynching Act? Huh? Do we Did we forget we have that? No, hold on now. Wait a second, because Roland Martin was trying to say, we already have a hate crime bill. There's no hate crime bill specifically for Asians. Oh no, we already have several hate crime bills. That's what he was trying to say. Okay. Where is the Emmett Till Lynching Act? Where is that? Why is nobody saying nothing about that? Does that not mean anything? For the people who argued, they swore up and down. You guys don't. Hold on. First off, the Asian bill, that wasn't an Asian bill. That was a COVID bill, first of all. Second of all, that's for everybody. It's not just for the Asian community. As for everybody. Okay, well, where's the COVID hate crime bill then? Where's these hate crime bills that we are, quote unquote, included in? We don't even know the officers' names involved in the situation, which is deliberate. That's deliberate because they're cleaning their history. They don't want them to be tied with other groups and gangs and things. But let them tell it. We already have a hate crime bill and we don't need another hate crime bill. That's us asking for too much. Let them tell it. They can't do anything specifically for a group of people. Okay. I just want you guys, just so we can keep all of these things in note. So the next time a situation like this comes up, we can remember, hey, that Emmett Till Lynching Act, how has that benefited black people since its inception? I need to know, how has the Emmett Till Lynching Act benefited black people at all? Anybody, any black person at all since its inception? Or is it just a name on a piece of paper? I need to know this because I see a perfect situation where it could be applied. I don't see nobody bringing it up. Y'all had there was another hate crime bill. There was a couple more hate crime bill. That was the Civil Rights Act and all of these things. I don't see nobody bringing it up. I don't even see any civil rights. Now, I know they're pursuing criminal charges, but with even the civil case, you don't see nobody even really touching this. Is it because if you touch it, you have to admit that this is Biden's fault? You have to admit that this is Kamala's fault. You have to admit that this is the Democrats' fault. That's why they don't want to touch it. Is that why? Now, let me tell you another thing. If this happened in a red state, if this happened in Texas, if this happened in a red state, if this happened in Tennessee, if this happened in a red state, okay, it would have been like, you see those Republicans, those are Republicans, those are the Republicans over there. But now that it's happened in the blue state, in the blue city, with a blue attorney general, with a blue mayor, with a blue governor, with a blue president, with a blue vice president, no, now nobody want to say. Now nobody want to say a damn thing, huh? Okay. When we say our demands are anti-black hate crime bill, this is why we say that. So starting 2025 off, we got to hit the ground running, y'all. They are not out here playing no games. They are not out here playing any games. Also, let me drop this theory on you guys real quick. The last year, we as foundational Black Americans have shown our power when we get on code, when we get locked in, when we get connected with ourselves and our lineage, and we locked in and we on code and we moving together. We have shown this. And we've shown that our power can change a whole political party, can destroy a whole political party. Now, they like that. The MAGA and Republicans and everything, they like that. But I want you to keep this in mind. Now they understand, like, okay, well, they showed their power to help us, but now that Donald Trump's in office, now let's make sure we keep them, put them in their place real quick. Now we're about to up the hate crimes on them just to make sure they don't get too carried away with that little wave of power that they got going on. Let's bring them down a couple of notches real quick. I want you guys to see this. We've got crimes, terrorist acts all over the place. All of a sudden now, just keep this in mind. Now what they're going to start doing is they are like, hey, last year, the last couple of years, they've been flexing a little bit too hard. Them FBA has been flexing a little bit too hard now. I think it's about time that we stepped in, and we put a couple episodes out there. Daniel Penny was just the start. Now they're looking like, okay, well, the pendulum is starting to swing our way now. This is all the Daniel Penny effect. Mind you, this happened in New York. This is all the Daniel Penny effect. Okay, the pendulum is starting to swing back our way now. Okay, well, let's make sure we humble them Negroes a little bit, because we got beat up in Alabama. They beat Kamala. We didn't beat Kamala. They beat Kamala. Okay, well, let's make sure we kind of put them in their place, because they're getting a little bit too bold now. They starting to feel themselves a little bit too much. So let's make sure we let them know who run it, and that's us. So I want you guys to keep this in mind. This is the page that they're going to be on. This is why you're seeing there was another attack, I think in Queens, New York. There was an attack in New Orleans. All right. A lot of black people in these places. We have to make sure that we keep our heads on a swivel at all times, especially right now. The Democrats are not out here protecting us at all. They're not saying nothing. The Republicans ain't out here protecting us at all. They're not saying nothing. So it's up to us to make sure, because we already understand anytime we start to get momentum and get our power going and start to get our lineage on code, and we start to get that momentum building, all of a sudden now we got people being all like, yeah, well, let's put some obstacles in there. Let's knock them down. Let's show them who's really scary here. So right now they're trying to get us to be scared of them again. Now they try now. So what's going to happen is they're going to pull people to the side. There's going to be a whole gang of them. Listen, in the situation with Robert Brooks, there was absolutely nothing he could do to defend himself. And it was a bad situation. He was by himself. He was defenseless. There was nobody there to help him, protect him, to stop the officers at all. It was nothing he could have done. Absolutely nothing. And it's a tragedy what happened to him. What's going to happen is that they're going to see, oh, nobody's saying nothing about this. Okay, all right. So we kind of seeing what's going on now. With them, remember what I said. With them being quiet, they're being loud. With them being quiet, they're being loud. With them being quiet, they're saying, hey, I'm not going to say nothing. So that means, okay, oh, it's open season for us then. So I want y'all to understand what they're going to think is that now this is open season on black folk. This is what they're going to start thinking. Oh, 2025 is open season on black folk. We have to let them know. I have to let them know. You all have to let them know that it is not no open season on black folk. I don't want y'all to think that just because Biden lost, Kamala lost, or Trump is in office, or Daniel Penny get off means that it's open season on black folk. I will let you guys know that right now. Hate crime bill in office or on paper or not, it is not no damn open season on us at all. Let me show you with my actions better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you. It will not be no open season in 2025 on black people. It just won't be that. Y'all thinking y'all starting to build y'all up and y'all got a couple wins. I promise you, you do not have the wins you think you do. And you will not have the wins you think you will. If there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that right there. If there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that right there. It won't be no open season on black folk. Don't let this incident get you carried away. Don't let this incident make you think that something is sweet, because I promise ain't nothing sweet around here. I promise you that. If there's one thing I can promise you, it's that right there. You're going to mess around and you're going to think something is sweet and you're going to find out the hard way. I promise you it's not. See, unlike politics and elections, that happens and then that goes away. After the elections, the politicians stop campaigning. The politicians, they close all of their donations and everything like that. And the election season goes away. It comes and it goes away. We don't go away. Our power, us being on code, us being locked in, me looking out for you, you looking out for me, that's not going away. It's not. Our stuff is steady rising. Our momentum is steady building. So this stuff is not going away. This is not a trend. This is not a fad. This is not something that's going to die out. It's not something that's going to slow down. Just keep this in mind. So they can mess around and they can think it's open season all they want to. Yeah, come in here. If you come in here by your own will, just be warned. You might come in. You might not leave. Okay? If you step in, ain't no guaranteeing you stepping out. That's all I'm going to say. Metaphorically, because I do not promote violence, metaphorically, but y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. Family, it's up to us to watch out for each other. Look out for each other, family. It's up to us. I need you guys to remember, this is why we need a hate crime bill. But until we get one, we're just going to act like we have one anyway. We're just going to act like we have one anyway. I need you guys to follow me on my various social media platforms. That is Afro Elite on Instagram and then the Afro Elite on X. The reason being for that is because a lot of people tell me that they don't get the notifications, that YouTube does not send the notifications out. So I encourage you guys to follow me on these platforms, especially if you don't have notifications, because it allows you guys to get the notifications off the other platforms. So if you're following me on Instagram, you'll see it on the story. If you're following me on X, you'll see it on the timeline. So that way you don't have to rely on the YouTube notifications, even though you should be hitting the YouTube notifications regardless. Okay. Just to make sure. Also, you should be hitting that subscribe button regardless, just to make sure. And you should be hitting that like button. Let's hit this like button to let them know it's not open season. To let them know, I want you guys to hit this like button to let the correctional officers know, to let the MAGA know, to let the Democrats know, to let the Republicans know. They will find out. if they F around, they will find out. Our energy, our power, that's not gone anywhere. They will find out very soon, and they will find out the hard way. I promise you that. You will find out. Y'all hit that like button. Family, please be safe out here. They ain't playing no games, but that's okay, because we not playing none neither. They not playing none, but we not playing none neither. I want to welcome every single last one of you all to 2025. We not playing no games in 2025. It's okay because they ain't playing. We not playing no games, and we the best players. We're the best. And I stand on that. But with that being said, family, salute to every single last one of you all. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate every single last one of you all. And you all stay blessed and stay safe.